Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers, Facebookians. Welcome to another edition of Living Simply Fun. This is going to be like a mini video. We're not going to do any rants. For some of you subscriber out there, we're trying the 8-turn Classico. Mr. Aaron decided to go all out this month and buy 5 boxes, was it?
Well, they were fairly affordable, and I had nothing else to spend money on, and I decided that it'd be nice to get a couple A-turns, especially since several places are discounting them. It looks like they may be going out of business. I'm not sure. I know that it actually is from Altatis, so it's not going out of business. It could just be Altatis is getting rid of that line, the A-turn. They do make the Tiamo cigars, and the Tiamos are not on sale, so I do wonder if the Tiamos are staying and the A-turns are going. We managed to get the A-turn Classico for $48 a box, the A-turn Triple Play for $30 a box, the A-turn Puro Corojo for $48 a box, and the A-turn Casa de la Reserva for $48 a box. Rita got a box of punch signatures, and I got from a family member a 6-pack sampler of the Raymond Bueso Project Genesis,
Which is a really nice cigar. We'll be reviewing that. Hold on. We'll be reviewing the Raymond Bueso cigar, but we will also...
Told you you're going to tear it if you try to pull it off. It's a crappy label.
Yeah, this label is crappy. But anyways...
Unless you get them off like this, they're going to tear.
Anyways, the Raymond Bueso comes with a ashtray, which is very beautiful. I might try to score myself one myself, because it's, you know...
You'll have to tune into our review of the Raymond Bueso, which we have not done a review of that yet. But when I do the review of that, I will review the ashtray, and there's some things I love about it, and there's some things I hate about it, and I'll go over it in that. So stay tuned for the Raymond Bueso Project Genesis ashtray and cigar review.
We do want to say one thing we were looking into for next month was the Raymond Bueso Genesis 15 cigar sampler.
Yes.
It looked really good.
Especially since we really enjoyed the Genesis Project cigar. But again, stay tuned for the review of that.
Oh, and I do want to say to you all, our subscribers, not just my subscribers, Aaron's subscribers, please stay tuned because I will be doing 4 reviews on the Punch Bare Knuckle, the Punch Grand Cru, and the Punch Signature, and then the original Punch.
You already did the original Punch without taking notes, though. We do have to apologize. Last month we made a mistake. We forgot to review the cigars that we bought before we finished them. So at least I know that I can get 2 chilling mooses rather cheap at the local cigar shop. I think it's like $4.50 a piece for a 6x60.
Yeah.
So we'll end up doing that eventually. I do not know if we'll do the Alec Bradley White Golds anytime soon because I'm going to have to buy another box of those. I don't feel in the mood to buy another box of those right now. Let's see.
I was going to say we're looking into testing out and reviewing if we can get our hands on them for the affordable low price of $7 a stick of the Monte Cristo Platinum.
I don't see it. Well, we could do the Don Lino Torpeditos, the Maduros, and we'd have to get another bundle of those. And the Argyle Torpedo we can do anytime that we get a Buzzards Banquet 3 from Holtz. Because that comes in that. You know, I really shouldn't be drinking soda with a cigar. I'll say it's not a very good pairing. It's making me kind of feel gassy. Usually I drink like pink lemonade or fresh lemonade or just water. So, or a beer. A beer sometimes is nice. We've been drinking beer lately. I rarely drink beer, but lately we've been drinking a little beer because of the heat, and I got into the Mike's Hard Mango. Only thing I have a problem with is the fact that one of the slogans on there is "Let's get ready to mango," which I know. Hold on. Which I know is supposed to be "Let's get ready to rumble," but with mango, and it's supposed to sound cool. Unfortunately, the way that it's written on the bottle, for some reason, it makes me think mangoo instead of mango, and because the multiple O's drawn out, and I don't know if I really want to be getting ready to mangoo. It sounds perverted, and so, anyways, I think that should have just been somebody in PR or whatever at Mike's Hard should have said, there might not be a good idea when we're talking about Mike's Hard Mango. It just sounds wrong.
Maybe next month for Living Simply Fun for some of you out there, maybe we'll do a few beer reviews. I mean, I've tried I've tried the entire line of the of the Angry Orchard, and I gotta say, there are some fabulous hard ciders
I'm
out
going to
there.
stay away from beer reviews because there's just too many beers out there, and I don't like beer enough to be reviewing it. I did like the Soul beer, which I found is supposedly brewed and whatever, aged on a like sun tea. It's sun beer, and I really enjoy that. You got to try to see who's out there. Huh?
Yeah, well, that's okay. So, the other thing about this video is we haven't done a video update like between 5:15 and 5:21, so it's been 3 to 4 weeks. So, small
And
update
I
now
actually
and then.
said I wasn't going to do any more anyways because I'm actually really tired of people nitpicking because I say this or that. I try to explain things very clearly because the way I am is I don't think that too many people think the way that I think or understand the way that I understand. Part of the point of our channel is how can you enjoy certain things in life that are considered costly, or a fancy hobby, yet still be able to do it on a fixed income and not be somebody who's sitting there actually using the system. We never lack for anything, and we don't beg, we don't panhandle. We live within our means on a fixed income, and we get just about everything done. I have complained about the medical system because the medical system unfortunately does not work very well, and the bills for that are so absurd that even if I did go and save all my money by cutting this out or cutting that out, and living on a cot in a closet basically, like some people think I should because of being on disability, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. And although I could incur all these medical bills, I still wouldn't have enough to pay them. So I might as well at least enjoy part of my life, even if the medical system's going to let me slip through the cracks and not handle certain procedures. We complain also because of, even though Rita's...
Excuse me, it's not ladylike.
Even though Rita is transgender and stuff, we don't agree with the state or even insurance companies covering it. Because that is honestly, we both agree that
It's
for the
elected.
most part, it's a choice. And if you can afford to do it, that's great. Go ahead and do it. If you can't afford to do it, maybe try to find somebody who can help you do it.
But I just want to say to you viewers out there, he's right. The insurance companies like MetLife and all those I've spoken in previous videos are now being slammed down and force-fed that they got to pay for
if the
it.
transgender community actually wanted to take care of its own people, instead of going and whining and complaining and crying that they can't get their surgeries that are essentially elective to be paid for instead of somebody's heart, when they need a new heart or they need a pacemaker or something like that, which is not always covered. I know a person who's got a brain tumor who cannot get it removed because they don't consider it life-saving at this point. Okay? They also deem that the surgery is too dangerous for her to go through. So, luckily it's not cancerous, but there is a tumor on her brain, and she can't get it taken care of by Medicaid or Medicare or insurance companies. Yet, somehow transgender people think they deserve a pair of breasts so that a man will want them. I'm sorry, that's not medically necessary. It is not saving your life. But Rita understands this, and she was interested in trying to go through it because it might be the one chance that she gets. But what I was trying to say is that the transgender people are really interested There's a person I know who's in the transgender community who's trying to set up a center basically for transgender people out in New York. Very good thing out there, and I wish them the best of luck in it. And what they should be doing is fundraisers, things like that, trying to get a good charity going to help people who can't afford it. To work with doctors and have doctors who are willing to work with the clinic, maybe on a volunteer basis or something, to help with the surgeries.
I do.
There are things that can be done.
That's a good idea, but I also want to say, and I was talking to Aaron about this today, is, again, I was going through some doctors. I'm not going to go into details. I'm not going to spill the beans yet, but one of the doctors, I read his profile, said you need parental permission from 13 to
And I don't think a 13 to 17-year-old should be going through the surgeries at this point. Make sure this is what you want in life, and that's why I have a problem with Bruce Jenner. You see, some people say it's transphobic not to be, oh, Bruce Jenner's the greatest thing in the world. I'm sorry, Bruce Jenner's not the greatest thing in the world. In fact, Bruce Jenner's not even courageous. I don't like that courage award from ESPN. ESPN obviously didn't pay attention to what courage is, because Bruce Jenner decided that they could skip the RLT part of
real life training,
which is real life training,
I've done 17 years
is,
of it.
I actually called it at one point was real life test, and it should be a test. This is to find out, is this what you want? Can you fit in? This is a learning experience. Jenner wanted to just go and skip that whole point because they didn't want somebody saying, is that a man or a woman?
No,
I can't
the
tell.
report said he didn't want
just
to be
the other
said
day,
a man in a dress.
Just the other day, we're sitting on the bus, and I thought Rita was fairly passable for the most part. There's two kids on the back of the bus who ask this guy, is that a man or a woman? And he basically says, I don't know. But that is part of going through this process, and to skip the 2 years that's necessary, it is really essentially not being courageous at all. That essentially is being a coward who cannot handle the pressure of being in between. And that is why that exists.
Excuse me.
It's part of the standards of care.
Let me just,
which Jenner decided didn't matter to them.
Let me just say, also in this mini review or mini video blog, that even though Jenner didn't do any of this, I've been transitioning 17 years. Aaron knows this. I think I passed the real life test because I know what I want. But here's the other thing. Aaron didn't know, but the other day, and no, I'm not bringing it up much, but I was wearing a pair of shorts and tights and walking the dog, I believe. Or was it with me with my pipe? But anyways, three guys pull across the street and they're walking 100 miles.
You don't understand the situation because she was too deaf to even hear what they were saying. We ended up walking back from walking the dogs, and we're walking past the hardware store. And this is about 500 feet from this little restaurant that we have in town called the Granary. And the hardware store we're walking past, and these three guys get out of a car just beyond the hardware store. And they're walking maybe 5 to 10 feet behind us, and they're muttering between themselves about what the hell Rita is. And one of them ended up saying, oh, they're like Bruce Jenner, and another one said, should we kick their ass? And then they all kind of laughed. And well, then we got to the restaurant, and the three of them went into the restaurant, and then I told Rita what I overheard. But I was on edge getting ready to protect her, because I'm not going to let somebody just beat the hell out of somebody else because they feel like it. That's wrong. I can half understand, sorry about the kids screaming in the background, but I can half understand if a person's sitting in a bar and a transgender person comes up and starts putting their hands on them and saying, hey, how about you buy me a drink, honey? That's the point where I'd say, get your hands off me and leave me alone. And if they didn't, then I would think about decking them one, okay? I'm sorry, but you do not listen to a person who says, go away. That might be grounds for it, okay?
Anyways.
And this is how most of the transgendered assaults actually happen, is usually because of a transgendered person who thinks that they can just make passes at every single person out there, and or this, sitting across from somebody and having their skirt lift up and their balls hanging out. I've seen that. I have actually seen that at a transgendered support group that I went to.
So have I.
And
in Australia.
It's disgusting. If you're going to wear a mini skirt, wear some fucking underwear. Pardon my French.
I was telling my therapist that when it comes to transgenderism, I would not go to another support group because they all talk about their boobs and
I've gotten so tired with Rita talking about transgender issues. Oh, this person that, I don't know if they are or not. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, Rita, you know what? I'm going to start charging you 5 cents every time you bring it up. And when you get to a certain point, at the end of the month, the money goes into a jar, and at some point, I'll end up turning the jar over to you, and you can buy whatever you want with the money in the jar. I'm not taking it from you. It's still yours. I'm just going to save it for you with that dollar amount.
Anyway.
And she gets mad about it. She sits there, I'm not paying for this.
Anyways.
Yes, you are. You're about to bring it up. You're just telling me that you're not going to pay
Anyways,
for it.
Another problem with this video, as I said in the first video, is we're having computer trouble. My motherboard went. I got it lined up to be replaced. Now I'm having audio-video problems for the other one. But the simple fix before I say, oh, the computer is semi-dead, is to try a new webcam, which I can plug into my desktop or the other laptop. And it should work. So on that, we're also looking into possibly later a Chromebook or two. But the problem with the Chromebook is we don't know if it has a webcam. We'll figure it out and we'll let you know. We have some minor purchases which we never talk about. Usually it's cigars, but I got to get towels, a new blanket, a comforter, and some new shoes and some clothes. Well, because I'm like Aaron basically said the other day, I should wear longer skirts or dresses, and I agree completely. I was saying in one of my videos, which didn't come out, I want to clean my nails a bit and paint them. The one colors I'm thinking about is a medium pink, a bluish turquoise, or a sea green, or an orange. That'd be my first bet for that. And I've also talked about getting my ears done.
And talking about other purchases and stuff, I just got us a box fan so that we can cool off outside while we're sitting outside. And I also decided to get some dog hair trimmers. Our dogs are both too hairy, and I don't want to pay $50 for somebody else to do it when I can do it myself. But got to get a muzzle for Blizzard still. So
I do want to say on a mini rant, me and Aaron both agreed, and we had a guy, I think his name is Cigar Addict.
Yes.
Complaining about prime rib. Let's just get the prime rib crap over right now.
I'll touch on that for a second. What happened was when Easter came around, there was a good sale on lamb and on prime rib. So I ended up buying lamb, and Rita ended up buying prime rib. And we didn't buy a big block, but when you think about it, it actually ends up working out to 3 or 4 meals. It ends up being about $10 a person per meal. And that is expensive, okay? But we don't do this all the time. And we made cuts in our budget for other things. For instance, we ended up basically not getting any cigars last month. I mean, we did, but we ended up spending no more than like $60 for all of our cigars. I think it might have been 80 total. We ended up cutting out our Amazon orders, which sometimes we get a few things from Amazon. I like to try to get, I like movies particularly based off of real life stories. So we ended up making cuts to our budget that month. Oh wait, that was the month I ended up getting, I don't even remember. That might have been the month I got the Amatis and stuff. But regardless, it wasn't enough to actually end up hurting us or putting us in the poorhouse or having us sitting there saying, woe is me, I don't know why we don't have enough food, or we don't have this or we don't have that. People need to help us more. We weren't doing anything like that. In fact, we had plenty of money to get through things. But the reason that we do that every once in a while is it's a celebration. And we were going to do it for Easter, and instead it didn't work out that, and we decided to end up doing it recently because we didn't want it to get freezer burnt and go to waste. We do not waste anything.
I do want to say
we did waste the milk we got the other day free because it already turned sour and it was chunky. I'm sorry, I'm not going to drink sour chunky milk.
I wanted to say about the prime rib, I think I got like 50% fat, and it's something that was a disappointment to me.
The butcher miscut it. I asked him to cut it away from the ribs and tie it up. He ended up cutting it in an odd angle so that it was like this, and half the meat that's supposed to be on the prime rib, you're supposed to cut like an arch. Instead, he cut like a line and ended up leaving some of the meat that's necessary on the bone.
And then it didn't cook up right.
It had too much fat at the end because they didn't trim the ends properly. The bones are too long, for one. And because of all this, it didn't cook up right. I've cooked about 15 prime ribs in the last 10 years. And I'm actually really good at cooking prime rib. I can end up cooking it better than most restaurants do.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like cheated by the way that this guy cut it at Safeway. It was a horrible piece of meat, unfortunately. However, it will make for a very nice prime rib soup, I think, tonight. And it did turn out okay after I recooked it. So,
yeah. So, and another thing is I wanted to share with you all is also in this update, we've tried some new restaurants. One being Tacos El Rey.
Okay, we've essentially only tried Tacos El Rey for the last 2 months.
We did try Dusty's In-N-Out, which I want to try once more.
I will say about Tacos El Rey, though, I have tried, we've gone, I think, 8 or 9 times.
9 times.
Their prices are very affordable, and every single time I have tried something different. And I love their food.
I made a joke on Facebook. I said, is this the traditional Mexican breakfast? Because it gave me 2 eggs on corn tortillas with refried beans.
Covered with sauce with refried beans and rice.
And Spanish rice. And no one answered the question.
And
so if you have the answer out there, please let me know.
I had essentially a scrambled egg mixed with potatoes that was just really fantastic.
He thought he got the chorizo.
I thought it was with chorizo, but unfortunately our menu has what I got in the position... Well, our menu has what I wanted in the position of what I got on their menu. So I kind of just pointed to it based on my memory of positioning. I wanted the chorizo con papa, which is right here. And instead I got the huevos con papa, which is at the top. And on their menu, the chorizo con papa was like over here, and the huevos con papa in the center there. So I didn't notice that things had moved around. And I really, really, really wanted to try the chorizo.
And one of these days we will be trying the all-you-can-eat Chinese in Moses Lake. The Chinese called Lin's. We're gonna try the Thai restaurant because I like.
We're gonna try Pops In-N-Out.
Yes, exactly.
They have buffalo burgers. I really want to try their buffalo burger, and they have a blue cheeseburger that I really want to try.
We might just have to get 2 burgers each, wolf them down, and see,
I don't know. My appetite's not what it used to be. So next time I go to Dusty's In-N-Out, I want to get the German sausage there because it was really good. And
I'm going to have them remove some stuff from the burgers when I go to Dusty's.
They have a special sauce that's... this is what I don't like about theirs. They have a special sauce, which seems to be a cross between ketchup and pickle relish and diced tomato. And then they add this sauce to ketchup and tomato slices. And you get tomato overload with pickle overload. And it kind of destroys the flavor of everything else. I do not like their special sauce. And she got the mushroom Swiss burger, but picking it up, everything just squeezed out of the bun. But that's also part of her vision. She can't see it, and she tries to set it down. Unfortunately, a burger that messy, you need to continue holding in your hand because you try to set it down, it's going to slide apart.
I do like my Taco Bell, but I'm also liking Tacos El Rey too. We never got to Tiapa's Bar.
We tried to go to the Tapico and Grill. It seems they may be out of business because every time we've gone past there, they've been closed, even if it's in their hour frame. So, unfortunately, I think they're gone. And they have not said on their Facebook page, which is still active, that they're closed.
I do want to say the other day, when we went in to have our 2 meals, I take care of breakfast and lunch, we had to go to Aaron's doctor's appointment, which I'm going to talk about the doctor too in a second. But Aaron tells me the night before...
I have Imelda Marcos as a doctor.
Aaron tells me
She loves shoes.
Yeah, but I have a Filipino primary, so that's more of a Imelda Marcos. But anyways,
What, 'cause
we
she's Filipino?
want a free
Mine
pizza.
Mine has a shoe fetish.
She's Hindu.
She's not necessarily Hindu. She's from the northwestern section of India, which actually is very heavy Muslim. But it also has a lot of Urdus and Sikhs in that area, as well as Hindus. So you can't guess her religion because of where she's from.
Fine, she's an Indian woman, plain and simple. But anyways, we want a free 2-topping medium pizza.
Yes, thanks to Chris Heston and his no-hitter. It just happened to be the day beforehand. We found out Domino's had an event called the Dominono. If somebody pitches a no-hitter, the next day at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, if you're a member of MLB.com, you log into MLB.com, you put in your information, and then they send you a password to use online with ordering Domino's so that you can get a free pizza. Only 20,000 were given out. They were gone in the first 9 minutes, and we happened to get in within 90 seconds. So we actually got a free pizza, and that was really awesome.
It went with our buffalo wings for dinner the next day. We had 4 slices. We were all tired and
we haven't been to
exhausted.
Domino's in a while, and everybody there is like friends with us. So it was really cool actually to be able to go there again, especially since we've had a run on Tacos El Rey, and so we've been neglecting our friends over there, and it was nice to see them. So
yes. So like I said, we have ideas of what we want to try out soon. I also wanted to say for you out there, the heart doctor, by the way, turns around, and for some of you out there, if you know doctors turn around and say, "No smoking, it's bad." My doctor just went ahead, the same doctor,
asked this question about pipes and stuff and cigars, and seems like she's actually interested in the hobby herself, and she didn't have any negativity to say towards it, which was really cool.
I loved Aaron's answer when I was holding Moppy. I don't know what's with Rita. She eats the same amount of food as me, but it seems she's siphoning all her fat to me at night. I'm gaining weight, she's losing weight. I've lost about 40 pounds.
It's actually funny. If we both have a pound of food in front of us, she'll usually eat it all, and I'll be sitting there like 3/4 of the way through, like I can't eat anymore. And then, I'm feeling bloated and disgusting from eating 3/4 of it, and she's sitting there, I shouldn't have eaten so much, but she loses weight. She's gone down from 190 at the beginning of this year to 170.
Now
I've gone up from 260 to 290 within that same time frame. So I eat less than her, yet I gain weight. She loses it. It makes no sense. I figure it's just genetics. I get just the same amount of activity as her. The only thing that I could say is different about her is she cannot sit still. She's constantly moving around. She lays in bed, she's moving around. She sits in a chair, she's moving around. She's very animated. I'm not so animated. Once I plop in a chair, I'm essentially in the chair.
So, the other things we wanted to say, we're not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, is I have a doctor's appointment the 17th. I don't know how that's going to go. I also have to talk to the eye doctor because there's something wrong, because I'm not seeing like I used to. I mean,
yes. I finally saw the eye doctor for the first time in 15 years, and it's only because I refused to pay like $90 to get my eyes checked, one-time fee. See, $90 would take away all my play money. And although this is something that I need done, there's no reason why Medicare, etc., does not cover optical. At least once every 2 years. Every 2 years you're supposed to go for it. A basic eye exam every 2 years should be covered. And actually it is covered. The problem is in my area there was no doctors who cover it unless I wanted to go to Moses Lake, which we both bit the bullet this year and decided we're going to go 2 hours and a half away by bus and 2 hours and a half back home just to go to our doctor's appointment. So it's made a big difference in what's available to us.
As you probably know already from the last video, we put in our applications for an apartment in Moses so we can be closer to the doctors and better things like bowling, ice skating, swimming, shopping, and more.
I don't even know if there's an ice skating rink in Moses.
There is because Sierra was there with
I know there is in Wenatchee.
Yeah,
So,
next to Stick's house of cigars, but
I don't know if there is in a Moses Lake.
There is, because I saw Sierra there one year.
But there's
on
a nice swim park in Moses Lake. Not that I'd ever go. I've never gone to swim parks. I hate going swimming because most of them have a, if you're a man, no shirt. Well, I'm sorry, I consider it indecent because my breasts are bigger than most women.
Yes, we're working on getting that removed. We're still trying to figure out, and I'm not going to...
I got to go to Yakima. I can get it done, but I got to go to Yakima, and I got to pass this heart thing first before doing that. And I don't know how I'm going to go to Yakima because I got to take a bus, and I got a 12-hour layover. I can't afford the hotel. Even if I could afford the hotel along with the bus fare, I'd be cutting not only out of my play money, but I'd also be cutting out of my actual food money and groceries. Yes. So,
however, for some of you out there, and we'll probably get lambasted from Cigar Addict, I think, but...
And I wish that dude would just mind his manners a bit. Sometimes you don't have to go and sit there and point out somebody's faults. You don't have to sit there and belittle a person. I have various problems, and I've decided that I almost really don't want to do these videos. But I do these videos because sometimes I think that, it's nice for somebody else to understand where I'm coming from. That's part of the reason of Simply Living in Fun, is how can you enjoy your life, be happy almost all the time, but also be living in poverty. And I think we upset a lot of people because for the most part we are happy in our poverty. We do have our complaints and our issues, but our complaints and issues are usually, people think that they're entitled to this or that. Privileged to park in a handicap spot when they're an 18-year-old who seems to be in perfect physical health so that they can have a lunch at a restaurant. And then they come out and there's an old lady who's parked all the way across the parking lot because she couldn't get parking nearby, even though she had the handicap sticker. To me, that's outrageous, and I'll complain about that. We had a guy the other day who parked in front of the bus stop. In some cities, you do that, your car will be towed. No questions asked. It doesn't matter if there's a passenger in the car, you will lose your car. Luckily, in our area, usually they don't do that. They try to pull around in front, or they pull up behind, or they'll just skip the stop.
I wanted to say I'm getting more and more happier living simply in fun because, I was in a light depression, but the main reason is nowadays I'll go somewhere and it's Miss or Ma'am more. I also was laughing the other day, and Aaron and I, this is part of our update, we were walking from the Walgreens up, and this girl says hi. Well, I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Then Aaron says, hey, she said hi to you, and I said hi. Then next thing you know, I hear, nice dress, thanks. And then as the car's pulling out, they're in a traffic jam. She says nice tights and nice leggings or something. I just was like...
And there's also this feeling that when it comes with Cigar Addict, that Cigar Addict seems to think because we're disabled and we are on disability pay and we can't work for a living, that essentially we need to live in extreme poverty, and we should be happy and thankful if all we're eating is a can of corn each night, and if we even have a can opener to open the can of corn, we should be counting our blessings. I pretty much in some ways somewhat agree. I do think that for the most part a lot of people get more than they should, but at the same time it's also to the point that the disabled shouldn't also be sitting there unable to do anything in life. And it comes to the question of, can you live a normal life at all whatsoever? And I think so many disabled people can't live a normal life because for things like paperwork and stuff that needs to be filled out, sometimes it's too complicated for somebody who's disabled. I have to help Rita every time she has paperwork because she can't figure it out.
I do want to say to my viewers out there, including you, Cigar Addict, we went to the welfare office a while ago, and I'm too proud to go in there and say, here's all my bills, put it towards this.
So she can get a whole $20 in food stamps. I get $40, but... and I use it for what's necessary. In fact, we don't eat too well. Sometimes we splurge, but a lot of times we eat cheat meals. Just the other day, I got a 6-pack of chicken breasts for, I think it was $4.98 on sale. 6-pack, decent-sized chicken breasts. So what did I do? I barbecued up all 6 chicken breasts, and I got a package of corn for, I think it was $1.89 for 6 ears of corn frozen. And I got a can of Bush's baked beans, the large can, and we ate off that for 3 days. The entire price of the thing was like $8, 3 nights of meals.
I do want to make one statement on his 3 nights of meal. It was 4 because I wanted to try and experiment.
Barbecue chicken soup. So altogether, 4 meals ended up costing us like $10. You take the $10 and divide it by 8, that's less than $2 a meal.
$2.50 a piece.
Less than $2 a meal. So if you figure that most of the month we're under $2 a meal, and we have a couple meals that are $7 or $8, we're actually in line. And some people sit there and say, "How dare you eat steak?" There's a big difference between whether we're getting thick-cut porterhouses or we're getting, beef bottom rounds for,
I do want to say to you viewers out there that subscribe to us that when it comes to steaks, every week, me and Aaron sit down as a family, as best friends, and Aaron says, "So Rita, what's in the ads?" And when we go through Shopko, we go through Safeway, we go through IGA, we refuse Aikens. And I say, "Oh, these are what's available." So we both try to plan out to get some. Heck, what was the other day? I spent $8 for like 6 pounds of boneless pork ribs.
Yeah. We got 8 pounds of boneless pork ribs for under $10.
All we have to do is either cook them home or cook them in the park.
Oh, and let's see. When it comes to steak, just the other day, our grocery store had a deal on skirt steak. It was something like $1.98 a pound if you bought 5 pounds.
10 pounds.
So no, it was 5 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, I got the entire 10 pounds of this stuff for 5 pounds of this stuff for $10.
I bought 5 pounds too. I remember. And
that's why I'm having it confusing with 10 pounds or 5 pounds. Anyways, part of it I cut up real fine, and I ended up making Philly cheesesteaks out of it because we got mozzarella cheese for, I think it was
98 cents.
98 cents for a bag because our grocery store had Great Valley or Western Family shredded cheese on sale. So 98 cents, and I used less than $2 of skirt steak on it. And I made Philly cheesesteaks with some bell pepper that we were given because we live in a farming community and some places sometimes give stuff away like that. So we ended up getting some free bell peppers, and I basically made us some Philly cheesesteaks. Then I took some of the meat and I mixed it with a 98-cent packet of taco seasoning, and I got some black bean refried beans.
Oh, that black beans is the best.
Which was 78 cents a can. And all together, for less than $2, we had tacos for 2 nights on the wraps too, which the wraps were really cheap. Then I ended up doing a stir fry because we got some teriyaki, big jug of it for $3.98, and I've used this teriyaki for almost 6 months already because of how much there is. And I made us a stir fry because, again, we still had leftover bell pepper. We had some free cauliflower we got.
I wanted to say also, we have some more of that meat in the freezer, but when Aaron gets around, someone gave me a free bottle of stir-fry sauce. Aaron's like, "Oh, this is pretty cool."
So, and then on top of that, I ended up doing a steak soup. So far we've had like 9 meals out of it, and we still have some of this stuff left, and we get paid less than $10 for it. So you want to sit there and complain that every once in a while we splurge and get ourselves something fancy like the lamb for Easter or the prime rib. We still manage to eat very, very affordable every other night. Tonight, we're having leftovers. I'm taking the rib bones from the prime rib, and I'm boiling them basically in water and making a broth out of them. I put some bouillion cubes in it, and in a few minutes here, I'm going to go and cut up some potatoes and throw it in, and I'm going to cut up some mushroom and some onion and toss that in.
And the onions were free.
And I'm going to shred the rest of the meat off the bone. And that's going to be our dinner.
Aaron, you tell the audience that meal is going to feed us for 3 nights.
And I'm going to take And it will, because the soup will last 3 more nights. So the prime rib itself lasted 3 nights. The bone alone for the soup is going to last another 2 to 3 nights. And I'm going to make Yorkshire puddings with it tonight, which is just egg, flour, and milk.
Well, let me just say, 3 more nights. We could have taken and made 1 more night of prime rib, but instead I told him to cut out the fat. And then, usually the next day for lunch, he'll take the ribs, which there's plenty of meat on,
and we'll end up like doing barbecue ribs, barbecue prime rib bones.
Instead, this time I wanted to try a soup.
So, we're changing things up a bit here. The barbecue chicken soup that we had, as I said, lasted us 3 days.
And I still got chicken thighs, chicken breasts in the freezer.
And we have chicken quarters, too. We got a 6-pack of chicken quarters for $4 on reduced. And they're sitting in my freezer, and I'm going to take them.
Our freezer, because it's a chest freezer?
Well, actually, it's my freezer, because it's not in the chest freezer.
Oh. We have a joint chest
Anyways,
freezer.
I'm going to take 2 of these chicken quarters, and I'm going to end up seasoning them. I'm going to cook them, and we'll probably have 2 meals each from the chicken quarters with some sides.
I do want to say also,
because we got tons and tons and tons of bags of mashed potato makings.
The other
potato bugs, they last forever.
The other thing we got free was 2 whole chickens. We used 1 for 1 night, cut up the rest, threw it into it with bouillion, and made a nice soup, which lasted 3 more days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's that telling you? We still have 1 whole chicken left and 1 whole turkey, and we got a 5-pound ham free. We basically ate what we wanted to it. Now we're dicing up the rest
from the food bank, and we go to the food bank periodically because, well, we qualify for the food bank, and we're in need of other people.
And, you know, the ham is going to be turned in. If we have enough ham...
But if we don't use something, we don't take it either.
With the ham meat, I wanted to share, is there's enough ham in there after we dice it up to make ham and bean soup and ham and bean and bacon soup.
Yeah. So, I mean, we got a ham like that big, and we used like 2 slices of it to make like ham burger, like the original hamburger. It was actually a slice of ham put on a bun with condiments on it.
Oh, and
before
just so
they
you
ended
know,
up taking, you know, meatballs and pressing them down and putting them on buns, which was done by White Castle, which ended up making essentially the first hamburger.
I wanted to say the real hamburger was ground pork in the boardwalk of what is it, New Jersey?
Or something like that, but it was done at a White Castle.
Coney Island. But here's the kicker.
But it was a White Castle that did it. The worker there had such a heavy load that he started pressing out the ground pork meatballs. They were ground pork meatballs for like meatball subs, and he just started pressing them to make them cook faster.
I wanted to say the food bank also gives us rolls, and one day Aaron saved 2 rolls for me. Took some little condiments because we buy his Walmart sandwiches at times. It comes with mustard and ketchup and mayonnaise. Mm-hmm. He saves the mayonnaise for me, keeps the mustard for himself. And one day I'm sitting there and I was like, let's just say like the Incredible She-Hulk, because as soon as I got done with my doctor's appointment, his appointment, my appointment, we went down to the blood draw, and they said, "Oh, did you fast?" Yes. "Oh, well, no, most people lie."
I took leftover turkey, and I put mayo on it, fresh there, and I'd cut the roll up, and it was ready for her, and unfortunately, she decided that it was a bad idea, because when we did go out to eat, she was already somewhat full from the turkey sandwich.
But I still gorged myself with, I believe it was Tacos El Rey, I think it was, and... You know, we've done that 9 times, and everything is affordable there. You know we've tried every sandwich at Domino's. We don't like the prices.
But what Cigar Addict needs to remember when we do these videos, we're sitting there so that people who are sitting there depressed every day because they feel that they can't do anything with their money, like our neighbor nearby. She sits there and all the time she's crying and complaining because she doesn't have money for this and she doesn't have money for that, but she's not living within her means. She wants, like, wrinkle cream, and she wants the Publishers Clearinghouse thinking she'll get rich, and ends up paying for lottery tickets hoping to get rich. These aren't things that end up making you happy. In the long run, they just make you depressed because you're spending all your money hoping to get rich when you're not.
Let me tell you something recently.
You're already wealthy. Every single person out there right now in America is wealthy. Why? It was even said by a senator or a congressperson recently that our poor are the envy of the world because the poor in other countries don't live so well.
Like the Philippines.
So think about it if you were in another country. You might not even have rice for dinner.
I do want to say, Aaron and I always talk about this, like saving for game systems, saving for this. The other day, I decided to bite the bullet and get us a game called The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. He wants to play it in. We got everything set up.
We got to buy ourselves a controller.
But guess what? That is going to be what? 300-400 hours? We might start a new character afterwards?
Exactly. And I haven't played that game in a long time. The thing is, I need to find a controller that I know will work with it, or otherwise I'm wasting my money.
Well, it's like...
We have a controller that will partly work, but it doesn't have 2 thumbsticks, so I have to use the mouse to look up and down and left and right, while I use the controller to move forward, but then I can't press the buttons on the side, so it doesn't work very well. Can you imagine being in a battle and having to use this to go like that, and then have to move your hand back over to attack? And
I wanted
just doesn't work.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're also looking into, and I'm not going to give details right now in this video,
I think
but
I could make it work.
batteries. I'm working on. Yeah, I'm looking for special batteries. Remember, so, and I'm working on another project right now. But
Confuses me.
you know what it is. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag.
Well, you better say it because it sounds naughty.
Batteries. I'm working on special.
Oh, GBA. GBA.
Yes.
See, she didn't say. She should have just said GBA batteries. See, I didn't understand what she was saying. How do you understand what she's saying? I can't believe this has gone 46 minutes. We should probably cut it off because I got to upload these before dinner. I want to get the computer off the table. But, anyways, part of the point of our videos, and I've said this numerous, I may end this before you get back, because it's 46 minutes. The main point here, though, that we try to make is that you can enjoy life. You can find a way to enjoy it. We all make our own hells. And you can choose to live in hell, or you can choose to live in heaven on earth, basically. And the way we do things is a nice balance so that we have things that we enjoy and we can do, and we smile most of the time.
He makes jokes and makes me laugh. So
my greatest problem is when somebody feels themselves so privileged that they can do something that others can't do, like have their dog off a leash. There's always the possibility that with your dog off a leash, it might not be your dog that causes the trouble, it could be somebody else's dog. What if you're maintaining a store like 3 people we know here in town who take their dogs to work, leave them off a leash in their store? What if a kid is shopping with their parents, the parent is talking to you, and the kid goes and runs up, grabs your dog, and the dog gets angry and bites? You just lost your dog and maybe your business. Is that smart? To me, that's not a smart idea. And it's not the dog's fault. It was just being defensive.
Yeah, exactly. And what I wanted to say about this whole thing with it is we live within our means and we're happy. I mean, heck, next month your guys are going to see me with a different type of haircut because it's time for me to get my hair styled yet again. And Cigar Addict says, "Oh well, it's a waste of my taxpayers." Well, guess what? Maybe you need to read.
This is something to pay attention to also. So many people out there sit there and think that their taxes are going to us, and and we live too good for what we get, and we shouldn't be getting so much. We should be living off less. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of a point there, but when you actually look at the numbers, average taxpayer pays less than 1% of their entire yearly salary to go to disabled people or even retirees. Less than 1%. So if you make $10,000, you can assume that less than $100 is going to the disabled and poor and the seniors. Most of your money is actually going to defense fund and the troops and military planes and vehicles and NASA and other government projects, and it's not going to us. And when you retire, you will be getting probably more money than you paid into it, depending on how long you live after you retire. If you end up disabled, you'll probably end up getting more in your lifetime than you paid into it. So, are you paying too much for helping out fellow mankind to live an adequate life? No, probably not. You want to get mad about it? All right, but you know what? Out of that $100, if you make $10,000, or $500 if you make $50,000, or $1,000 if you make $100,000, me and Rita probably are seeing less than 1 penny of what you've paid. So, you know, there's no point in being jealous. Yes, I understand you're jealous that we don't work, and we should. I could possibly work, as I've said, if I can find a boss who will understand my circumstances and allow me to basically do my job without ever yelling at me, screaming at me, threatening me, harassing me, or demanding something of me. That's very difficult to find, because most bosses out there actually somewhat get off on telling their employees what to do, or yelling at their employees now and then to say, I am boss. And so I'm not likely to find a boss like that. And I could jump from one job to another job to another job, and by the time that I've jumped to 5 or 6 jobs, I've pretty much blackballed myself from working because I'm a trouble employee. That doesn't work. Rita could probably work, but Rita would end up having to work some job where she is not on her feet all day, and unfortunately that means a desk job, and if she's got a desk job, the chances are that she's not going to be qualified for said desk job. She does walk with a cane. And if she's working at a gas station, if she's sitting on a chair all day, she wouldn't be able to run the register, for one. She can't bag unless somehow a grocery store says, okay, go ahead and sit in a chair all day while you bag. But that's not going to work. So,
well, I have hearing problems, learning disabilities, and vision problems. So how am I supposed to do things, you know?
I mean, I've worked with a woman who had Down syndrome who washed potatoes at a Wendy's, and she worked that job for like 10 years. And, you know, she was a nice enough person. She could do the job, but my friend's sister who had Down syndrome, she was working as a bagger at a grocery store, and she'd break eggs every time that they went through the line, and they had to try to move her here and there, and finally they said, we can't have you here. Me, I could probably actually do fire watch jobs, because for fire watch, essentially you're left to your own devices 90% of the time, sitting out in the woods, and I'm essentially a hermit. I could do that. But I do have a possible heart condition, and we don't know yet. I thought I was cleared of it, but then they now back to thinking it could be that anyways, even though it's not an arrhythmia. So I got to get cleared of that and find out what this problem is, and then I might be able to do something. So it all depends what the type of work a person can do.
And trying to get to work with the public national service is very rare. They handpick and most.
No, they don't. For instance, any fire watch job has to be offered to a disabled person if the disabled person can do the job. For instance, if you're in a wheelchair, they can turn you down, because you have to be able to hike and walk and backpack, and you have to be able to walk around the cabin, and you have to look out, you have to climb a tower. These are things that you have to be able to do. If you cannot do these things, you can't do the job. So they can turn you down, but most of the cases they have to hire you if they can hire you. Since I have a service dog, I have to actually prove that I can do the job while having my service dog there. So for instance, if I'm working at a gas station, unless I can tie him up behind the counter somewhere, I have to keep him on my hand the whole job. So can I do everything one-handed? If I can do everything one-handed, then I can probably work the job. But again, it depends on the boss. So yes, I do think that most disabled people should probably be working for their living. China does a very good job of making sure everybody works. At least that's what I've been told. But I have met Chinese people that do not have a job. So
Filipinos are the same. They don't pay for disability, but that's something I looked into one day.
You have to
while
work.
talking to him on the bus. But anyways,
actually, the Filipinos do have some form of disability type thing, but it's very hard to get on, and you have to be able to maintain and prove that you need to be on it. But here's another thing. You look at the homeless population of America, most of them have some type of serious mental condition. And these people should probably be on disability instead of being homeless. Unfortunately, no one helps them get into a place so that they can try to get themselves properly taken care of, because things do slip through the crack, unfortunately.
And so, just so you know, again, when I'm proud to, submit my medical bills and everything else to get food stamps. But I wanted to say, for the record, last time I was there, and I think I spoke about it, a lot of the Hispanics were wearing leather coats.
Yeah, that upset me. Rita's got a leather coat, but hers was given to her by a person who was throwing it out. She's worn it for like 10 years every single day. But some of these people are wearing like brand new leather coats, and they have diamond earrings in, and a diamond nose ring or whatever.
And the top of the line
obviously cost
iPhone
money,
or
and they're
Samsung
sitting
Galaxy.
there using the top of the line iPhone, and they're sitting there trying to get welfare. And I can understand, maybe you just lost your job. Maybe your parents kicked you out of the house and you're trying to struggle to get something going, and you were used to living rich, and you may have this. But when you're sitting inside the welfare office and 90% of the people are dressed way too nice and obviously have way too much, there's something not quite right. And welfare is supposed to only pay less than $500 a month, something like that. So if you're getting paid that little, you don't have the extra money like me and Rita have. Me and Rita do have extra money because we are paid more, and we are paid more because, in my opinion, for me, I used to work, and for Rita, she's got survivors from her dad because she was disabled from birth.
I wanted to say, for the record, again, in this video, for you all out there, including you cigar addict, complaining about, and I've told you time and time again, I don't support the government paying for sex changes. I'm just going to go with it because, heck, it might be my only chance. But here's the kicker. There's a lot of people out there. Why don't you go to some websites and forums for transgendered people that are sitting there asking how they can get on Medicare and Medicaid, because 9 or 10 states are now allowing the taxpayers to pay for full sex changes. Heck, I was reading a report today, and Aaron and I looked at each other, that said that Medicaid in California was paying for transgender surgery 3 years ago.
I started working at 15, and I worked from 15 till I was 27 years old, 12 years, and sometimes as much as 80 hours a week. So I definitely paid into Social Security. I paid quite a bit into Social Security in that time. I mean, not a lot, but I paid in enough that my credits were high enough that I actually am in a range that I'm above what most people on
I
disability
paid in
get.
enough before I hurt myself that I get the basic $470 a month.
But because of her father and his military career and stuff, she actually gets quite a bit on survivors, because she gets essentially his amount on survivors, plus her own amount, because she would have been essentially taken care of by her family for her entire life. So since her father died before her birth, she got, well, not before her
12
birth,
years old.
Yeah, she was 12, and she was disabled before, from
22.
birth. She was disabled from birth. So because of that, she gets survivors. I wouldn't qualify for survivors because I wasn't disabled before the age of 18. But my family would never have probably taken care of me. However, what was I going to say? I've been having memory issues
however,
lately.
your family wouldn't take care of you, more likely get you on disability if you were disabled by birth.
Right. I mean, I don't know. If I hadn't been able to work so long... Oh, that's what I was going to say. My disability came on roughly around the time that I was 27. I'd already had a mental breakdown in 1999, where I was unable to work for almost a year, and I didn't get on the public dole or anything at that point. I was on unemployment for 3 months. I went off unemployment. I ended up trying to get some mental help, and I did, and I was able to get back to work thanks to a former boss of mine that was understanding and decided to try to help me out. Then shortly after 27, I started having trigger issues, which I'd never had in my entire life before, not that I remember. And those trigger issues started leading to self-harm. So I got to be very careful to stay away from trigger issues, and that's why I got to be very careful of my boss if I was to end up going back to work. Without proper medications, which I can't get because Medicare does not cover mental health, at least most doctors do not take Medicare for mental health because they want $300 an hour.
Well, at least...
And the other issue that I have was before the age of 27, I didn't have seizures. Or sometime around the time that I was 29 years old, I was taken off a medication that I was on for panic attacks. And the panic attacks were gone because of that medication. But when they took me off the medication abruptly without toning it down and telling me to cut it or whatever, they just cut it, it caused me a seizure disorder. And so that's another reason why I don't drive or anything. Otherwise, I'd probably be driving right now. Also, for anybody who thinks we don't live within our means, we do not drive. We do not have a car. We don't have car payments. We don't have insurance to worry about. We don't have gas costs to worry about. We don't have to get ourselves from point A to point B spending $3 or $4 a gallon of gas. Instead, we ride the bus, which is far cheaper, and we walk everywhere, which is far healthier.
And then when we have to go to my therapist appointments or to the big clinic, we get on a medical shuttle that charges us $1.50 each way to get there.
And I honestly don't understand why people who live in poverty even bother with cars. They're too damn expensive, and you know they're not worth it for any reason. As long as you can get to everything you need to by foot or bus. I can understand if you live out in the country and you need a car just to be able to get into town. But if you're disabled or you're poor, you shouldn't be driving. See, and nobody will throw a complaint about that. Just like nobody will throw a complaint about a person who's poor going to McDonald's and spending $10 per meal on McDonald's food and getting fat and out of shape and out of condition with grease heart and mixed strokes. Nobody will complain about that, but they will complain when they spend half as much on a steak. I really don't understand that understanding.
Well, yeah, like I said, you know, my therapist and my psychiatrist takes Medicare, and, you know.
But you still have to pay $75 a session.
No, I pay $20 a session because that's the 80% that's fully covered. But, you know, she wants to see you 4 times a year, but she can, hold on.
You're talking, that's all right.
We're not supposed to say her name on videos.
Whatever. Anyways, I didn't say it loud enough. Anyways, I don't think, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, that is psychiatry, not psychology. Whatever. The psychiatric is much different than the psychiatric.
And I see a psychiatrist for gender issues. But point is they know what's going on. My therapist, I pay out of my own pocket. That's why some months I skip them because there's nothing to talk about. Oh yeah, I'm playing this new game Morrowind. Oblivion, Skyrim. I mean, is there much to talk about? Yeah, I can bring up the girl talking about nice dress and nice leggings. Otherwise, you know, it's nothing.
Yeah. So, you know. Anyways, we should cut this short, and I really hope that if you want to lambaste us about anything we've said, try to be nice about it, because the one thing that is a guarantee, should be a guarantee in this life, is that we should each strive to try to be as nice to other people as we can be. Even if we have a problem with them, there's an easier way to do things than yell at them, bitch at them, complain to them about things. You can talk. Talk is cheap, as they say. There are ways to handle things with etiquette and proper grammar, or whatever, you know. It's just a matter of being considerate of other people. And so you'll never find me actually yelling at a person for any reason whatsoever. Even if I have a problem with somebody who's parked in a handicapped spot, I'm more likely to say, hey, you do know that you were in a handicapped spot and that's not right. Maybe next time you should think about not doing it. I'm more likely to get yelled at, so I'm more likely to just shut up because I don't want somebody yelling at me. I'll do what I want. I don't want to hear that stuff, so I'm more than likely just keep my mouth shut. I say it on this channel because I figure at least if I say it on this channel, people who do that thing, that see us or hear us say that, they might think next time, you know, this guy was right. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing that.
Anyways, here we go. We're going to tie it up now. So look for another video in the future between the 18th and the 25th. Please add and subscribe if you like, post comments, leave feedback, suggestions. Please look for more of our cigar reviews. May God bless you, may God bless me, and may God bless the world. Amen and good night.
Agreed.